What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode on Wrestle Wellbeing here. I am your host, Jim, and like I say, is another episode of the Unseen Battles. But before we get into today's episode, I want to quickly talk about the Hot Tag Foundation. For those of you that have been here before, you know the deal by now. But for those of you that are here for the first time, first of all, welcome to the channel. Welcome to this episode. If you are new around here, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Press the bell icon so you get notified when we upload, and also like the video, share it with your friends as well. But onto the Hot Tag Foundation. The Hot Tag Foundation is a non-profit organisation based here in the UK that aims to share wrestling with children across Britain, particularly those in need, by collecting donations of wrestling items such as toys, merchandise and other wrestling related goods, and distributing these items to children, particularly around the seasonal holidays such as Christmas. So in essence, the Hot Tag Foundation leverages the appeal of professional wrestling to bring joy and a sense of real-life superheroes to children, especially those facing challenging circumstances. Got a quick video, guys, to show you before we get into today's episode and I introduce my guests. So make sure you check out this video and check out the QR codes of the several wrestling promotions that are on this video as well. So we'll be back in 2 minutes.
Ready for turning red, steel claws of vengeance awaken the dead. The silence is shattered, the battle drums roar. We march through the ashes, we're ready for war. No mercy, no chains, no fear in our veins. The fire ignites, we'll never be tamed. Ready for war, the thunder will break, fury unleashed, the earth's gonna shake. Raise the black flag, let the demons soar. We're forged in the chaos, ready for war. The wolves are howling, the night's closing in. A blade in the darkness where shadows begin. The weak will crumble, their cries fade away. We stand in the inferno, we'll never obey. No mercy, no chains, no fear in our veins. The fire ignites, we'll never be tamed. Ready for war, the thunder will break, fury unleashed, the earth's gonna shake. Raise the black flag, let the demons soar. We're forged in the chaos, ready for war.
So there you have it, guys. That is the Hot Tag Foundation, along with links to the UK wrestling companies up and down the country here in the UK. But now on to today's episode of the Unseen Battles. I'm joined by one of the greatest young talents on the indie scene at the moment in time. He is a former BTW champion. He's the current GPW champion. He is the Savage of Salford, the Street King himself. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jack Johnson. Jack, thanks so much for joining me, man.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
It's an absolute honour to have you on today, matey. I was recommended to bring you on by two of our very good mutual friends in Steve Grimshaw and Holloway. So it's an absolute honour to have you on today, mate.
No, I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
No worries, matey. So for those of people that are watching, Jack, that for some reason don't know who the Street King is, please pontificate upon these people as to who you are.
I'm just a lad from Salford that loves wrestling. That's pretty much it.
So, mate, compared with myself, to be honest, mate, I've watched quite a few of your matches so far, mate. And I've got to say, and I said this on my friend's podcast yesterday, that you are without a doubt one of the best, uh, technically gifted wrestlers on the UK indie scene at the moment in time.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
My pleasure, mate. So, if it's all good with you, bud, we'll jump straight in with the questions, mate. Obviously,
100%,
today
let's
is
go.
going to be, yeah. So, mate,
Let's go.
we're going to be starting off with your wrestling journey, bud, and then we'll get into the mental health questions. Obviously, anyone that is watching the episode today, if you are struggling with your mental health, make sure that you do check out the description below. There is a disclaimer in there, but there is also links to several organizations that help with mental health, and also there are links for organizations that help with addiction too. So make sure you go check those out. But other than that, let's jump straight into the questions with Mr. Jack Johnson. So, Jack, I want to start off the way that I start every single interview, mate. Can you tell us what initially drew you to professional wrestling? Is it something that has been a childhood dream, or is it something that you later on discovered in life?
No, it's definitely very much a childhood dream. I grew up in quite a big family, and every one of them liked wrestling, and I thought, so I want to do it. You know what I mean? Like most kids my age at the time wanted to be Power Rangers or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I was like, nah, I want to be The Rock. Me. That was pretty much what it was. I was obsessed as a kid. Loved it.
So, mate, sound. So, can you describe your training experiences when you first stepped into the ring? Like, what was that? What was that? Did you feel any pressure, or was it just the pure adrenaline taking over that you just were so glad to be in a wrestling ring?
I was just so glad. At first, it was like it's really surreal because I didn't get introduced to British wrestling until quite late.
Mhm.
So I'd only known about it for about 6 months or so before I started training, and I just thought, "There's wrestling in Salford. What is going on? How have I never known about this?" You know what I mean? So I was just like, "I can't believe I'm actually here in a wrestling ring." But I didn't feel pressure at all. It was like it wasn't easy. Like it was really challenging and really like hard work. But you know when you're that passionate about something, you're like it's so rewarding. So it didn't feel like hard work and it didn't feel like stress. I was just like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever.
So, mate, obviously doing quite a bit of research up until this interview, I've seen that you've had quite a lot of matches in sort of like 6 years because I've seen that you started your career in 2019.
I
So far in
started
your
in 2016, to be fair, and then I was just
okay,
doing like matches under a mask gimmick. So I've only
okay,
really sort of been myself and been
mm,
this like side of my wrestling career for like I want to say like yeah, like the past 6 years or so.
okay. So sorry for getting that wrong, mate.
No, don't
Uh,
apologise. You're all good. You're all good.
so far in your career, mate, what have been the most memorable moments or matches?
I I'd have to say the Future Shock for the Love of Wrestling show earlier this
Hmm.
year because
Hmm.
like you're just backstage in a gym and there's people like Tajiri warming up. There's Raj Desi just there hanging around D'Lo Brown, and it's like you watch all these as a kid, and then you're thinking, you know, I'm not that far away from being where they were, considering we're on the same show. You know what I mean? And I was like, what a moment. It was something like I'd got home that night and was just like, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean? What is going on? And then like match wise as well, I'd say it was my debut at Sovereign Pro Wrestling. I I got to work with like Simon Miller, Kelly Six, Blue Kane was in the match. And at that point, it was like a viral sensation. So again, it was really surreal, and I'm like, "Wow, I'm actually here." You know what I mean?
Definitely, mate. Obviously, you mentioned Tajiri Deal Brown. Was it sort of like a moment where you had to be like you had to pinch yourself to make sure it was real, sort of thing?
Oh, 100%, yeah. Tajiri was warming up like on the punch bags. He was just kicking him, and it sounded like gunshots. And I was like, "Oh my god!" I was just like, what is going on? Like you say, it's a proper pinch me moment. I'm like, eh, how am I here?
To be fair, mate, you could tell that you definitely have been a wrestling fan all your life, because I think that is how I think every single professional wrestling fan would react
Yeah,
seeing those
yeah.
guys.
I feel like pro wrestlers are all, we're all fans at the end of the day. We're all just big fans.
Definitely, mate. So, who are some of the wrestlers that have inspired you throughout your journey so far?
Whoa. The one that always comes to mind is Eddie Guerrero. He was my favourite as a kid. Like that storyline with him and Brock in 2004. Yeah, I was hooked. Like, so he's definitely Eddie. Just because I just loved the way he was. He was funny. He would be serious, and like he had that comedy value as well. That he didn't. He was still a main eventer, even though he was like a comedy wrestler as well. Um, who else? I was a massive Randy Orton fan. Obviously, I grew up with ADHD, and then when he did like the gimmick where he's going mental, it's kind of like I wouldn't say relatable, but you'd like I understand why he's angry. You know what I mean?
Definitely, mate. So, obviously, as I mentioned before, Bud, you are a former BTW champion and the current
Yes.
GPW champion. How do you prepare for such a big match, obviously mentally and physically?
It might sound daft, but I like to look back at where I've been and how I've got here, because then I'm like, well, I've managed to do all that. This isn't like a big obstacle anymore. You know what I mean? And I kind of like to just reevaluate my life, and I'm like, I'm definitely on the right track now. And I just take that like an hour or so to myself, just to sit in silence. I might even put some like slower, like songs on to get just to make you think, not to get like emotional, but to be like, wow, really get that feeling going. And yeah, it's kind of like I don't know what the word is, but it's like a routine. I have to just take that hour the day before,
Hmm.
or even just in the morning, just to really get in the zone.
Definitely, mate. Definitely. So, what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced in your career so far, aside from mental health?
Being seen more, like I said, I did a lot of shows under a mask, which was quite hard to get noticed because a lot of people didn't make the connection that I was the person under the mask, if that makes sense. So that was a massive challenge. And then ultimately, when I stopped wrestling under a mask, was learning to not wrestle in a mask, if that makes sense. That I could slow down. I didn't have to be so. Obviously, it's good to be animated, but I didn't have to be like super over the top because my face wasn't covered
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So that was quite a big challenge. And I'd say promos as well. Like when we was in lockdown and there was no wrestling, I couldn't cut a promo to save my life. And I wouldn't say I'm the greatest, but I've definitely got better. So that was a big challenge. And then I just like drilled myself every day. I would just cut promos and I would respond to them promos myself, like I was wrestling myself. And then I feel like that really helps. You know what I mean? That was like a big challenge that I thought I'm gonna smash this now.
Definitely, mate. And I think I speak for everyone that's going to be watching when I say that you have been absolutely smashing it, mate, so far. So,
I
massive
appreciate
credit
it.
to you, bud. No worries, mate. So, obviously, where did the idea come from to obviously start your career in under a mask, and then you decided to take off the mask? What was the
It
sort
was
of
so
thought
it was
process?
the promoter's idea originally.
Hmm.
He was just like, we want something like this. They wanted to do like the family friendly type show. So he was like,
Hmm.
we want like a generic luchador type gimmick. If you want to do that, that's the. When I started, it was kind of like you can only cook with the ingredients you have at home. So if you get given something, it's better than nothing. So take that while you. Do you know what I mean? So I did, and I was like, all right, yeah, I'll do whatever. And then it wasn't really until later on, like 2019, that I
I think we're having a couple of technical difficulties here, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, Jack's screen has gone. Is he back? He's still there, Jack. Be a couple of minutes, guys, just so that we can get Jack back. Whilst we're, whilst we're waiting, guys, for Jack to come back, if you have any questions, make sure you send them. Send them in, and we'll get Jack back as quick as we can.
Sorry about
Here we
that.
go.
The rang then, it gets me out of the thinger.
No, it's no problems, mate. So, obviously, you were speaking about how your wrestling style and your persona's changed since you took your mask off.
Yes.
So, yeah. So how would you say that your style and your persona's changed since you decided to take your mask off? What?
I've become more realistic, if that makes sense. I've always wanted to tap into that side of like making people think, oh, damn, this is real. I take like a heavily psychological approach to everything I do. So like in the promos, everything I say, I genuinely believe it.
Yeah.
So like when I say I want to make loads of money so I can make sure my sister doesn't have to go to work on a Monday morning, like it's not a joke. Like I genuinely, that's what I want. You know what I mean? Some people want to just do it for a weekend laugh, but like I don't know. It's just something that's just always been instilled in me where I'm like, that's this. I have to do this. Like I wasn't made to do anything else. So I've always that's how the style's changed because I took more of a realistic approach.
Definitely, mate, definitely. So we've got a couple of Instagram questions from our very good friend Steve Grimshaw.
Yeah.
So Steve's first question is: tell us about the first Salford City wrestling show and how you felt once your match had ended.
Uh, I nearly cried. Like I've no shame in that. So it was very special because I used to sleep rough, like a 5 minute walk from that venue. And I used to walk past it every day, and never in a million years would I think I'd be headlining a wrestling show in there, like a sold out wrestling show as well. So it was so emotional, and I just remember looking. I believe Steve was the ref as well. He'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I just remember him being like, "Are you okay?" I was like, But I just felt like I felt whole at that point. I was like, no matter what happens now, I've done this, so everything's okay.
Somebody. So Steve's next question is: how big a part has faith played in your wrestling journey?
Oh, massive, massive. So I got baptized in 2022, I want to say. Um, and since like I took that journey into faith, I've just felt like this is the plan now. This is why I'm here. Like I said earlier, this is exactly why I'm here. So no matter what happens in life, as long as I've got faith and as long as I keep doing what I'm doing and keep putting one foot in front of the other, everything will fall into place. Everything will be okay. So then when you get all that anxious and you come home from a show and you think, oh, I've done a terrible job there, having that faith, it keeps your mind occupied and you can, I pray all the time and I pray that we learn from that and we move forward. And it helps massively because you don't get lost in your own head. I feel like I don't get burnt out as much because I remind myself that this is why I'm here. This is what I got put on the planet to do.
Fantastic, mate. So, what last question from Steve is: what has been your favourite story that you've been a part of so far?
Ooh, there's been so many. You know what? One really comes to mind, and it's the stuff we've been doing at Infinite Promotions. I started off there as the heel, loud mouth Mank coming over to Liverpool. It just kind of writes itself. But throughout the story that we've told, I'm now like a really popular babyface, and they chant Salford in the middle of Liverpool. And just from the progress of being like booed and the kids going mental, like to being cheered and the kids loving everything that we do, I'm like, wow, it's incredible to know that the story's paid off and we've done that good of a job that Scousers are chanting Salford and Liverpool. You know what I mean?
So I've got a quick comment from Louise, who says, "We just love Salford."
We just love Salford.
Think you
Everyone loves Salford.
could put it any better, mate. So I'm going to change it up a bit, mate. I'm going
Yeah,
to throw
sound.
some quick fire questions your way.
Let's
That's
go.
okay.
Yeah, of course.
So, what is your favourite finishing move of all time?
Favorite finish? Lethal Injection by Jay Lethal. It's the reason I do the springboard cutter now, because I can't do the handspring that he does. So I thought I'll use that version.
What is your favourite entrance music of all time?
Oh, My Time, Triple H's like Attitude Era theme song. What a banger!
What's the worst injury you've ever had?
I fractured 2 bones in my neck giving a drop kick.
Who's your favourite opponent that you've ever worked with?
Ooh, Dylan Roberts at BWP, just because I learnt so much from the match, just about working on the fly and about wrestling being reactive, not active. So a lot of reaction instead of action. It was just a massive learning curve.
Sam, do you prefer WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble?
Oh, the Royal Rumble. Without, I think, well, it's a tricky one. That, yeah, the Royal Rumble, the Royal Rumble.
Sam, what's the most shocking moment that you've seen in wrestling?
What was that? Sorry, it cut out a little bit.
What's the most shocking moment that you've seen in wrestling?
Oh, the streak being broken. Definitely, without a doubt.
Sam, and final question before we get on to the mental health questions. Who is a wrestler that you think is underrated of all time?
Mr. Perfect.
Ooh, good
Mr.
shout, mate.
Without,
Good shout.
from promos to in ring ability, he's the complete package in my eyes. And it's a shame that more people nowadays don't really know, not that they don't know who he is, but they don't appreciate what he did. Whereas if he was an 80s, 90s child, you'll understand how good he is and how good he was, sorry. But whereas more of the newer wrestling fans don't really appreciate that as much.
Definitely, mate. Just going to go to one of the comments from the Magic of Wrestling. Very good friend of ours, which says, "Greetings from the Magic of Wrestling. Thank you
Hello.
for joining us, Liam. We appreciate it. If you haven't had Jack on before, mate, you need to get Jack on because he's one hell of a guest, bud."
Oh, thanks.
So obviously, we're going to go on to the mental health side of the questions now. But so anybody
Yeah,
that
man.
is watching, if you are struggling with your mental health, make sure that you do check out the description below. The answers that we get from Jack today may hit close to home for a couple of people. So just be prepared if that is the case, and obviously just make sure that you are okay. So obviously, starting off, mate, can you? You also mentioned earlier that you suffer from ADHD. Can you share
Yes.
a bit about when you first started experiencing your struggles?
Oh, so I was diagnosed when I was 8. So it was
Mhm.
very, very early in my life. I see. This is my side of the thing, right? I didn't know that I had ADHD because I just always was the hyper kid. It wasn't something that I'd later developed or later noticed I had symptoms of. I was just always a little bastard, essentially. So I didn't I never put two and two together until later on, until I'd stopped taking all the medication and stuff like that. But then when I look back, I can see it now when I've realised that, oh my God, I used to do things like that. And I'm like, that's because I had ADHD, that's because I had this, that's because I had that. Yeah, like I had a fantastic mother. So she was always like patient. She was always like forgiving because I would do some, I was a little bastard. I was always in trouble with the police and stuff like that. So from my memory, I'd always had like a decent childhood. You know what I mean? I had everything that I needed. So it wasn't a case of like, oh, ADHD ruined my life. It ruined my childhood. I had a like, I don't have that disconnection of what I was like without it. If that makes sense.
Mhm. Definitely, mate. Definitely. So, how would you say that the obviously demanding nature of professional wrestling has impacted your mental health?
It gives me something to look forward to. You know, when I've got like a good run of shows, like a good 4 or 5. days of shows or like you know what I mean. It just gives me something to look forward to. And I know that I get to see all my friends. I get to go and perform, even if it's 10 minutes, even if it's 5, 15 minutes. Like no matter, like I could have a really bad day. Like I have good and bad days all the time. But
Mhm.
we'll always be like, but I get to wrestle at the weekend. I get to go and see all my friends. So it's impacted it so much for the better.
Definitely, mate. So obviously, with wrestling being fast-paced, unpredictable, and requiring immense focus, obviously with you mentioning about your ADHD, how does that manifest itself during a match? What specific strategies or routines do you employ to manage the demands of being a wrestler?
I just go with the flow, to be honest. I don't know if that's like the right answer or what. I go with the flow. I don't overthink things too much. I just at the end of the day, if I worry too much or I start like fidgeting or whatever, it's only gonna jeopardize me really. So I just go with the flow. Whatever happens, happens, kind of thing. Like I'm not, I'm just happy to be involved, kind of thing. It doesn't, I don't, it doesn't trigger. You know what I mean? When I'm at shows, it doesn't get worse. To be honest, I feel at ease mainly. So I feel like it affects me less when I'm wrestling.
Definitely, bud. So, is there any other specific challenges related to mental health that you've faced while performing? That could be performance anxiety, pressure, travel, body imagery, or social media scrutiny. Any of those that come to mind?
Yeah, to be fair, like I said, I always get nervous. I always get anxious before shows. But that's why I love it because that 5 minutes when you say you're waiting for you're the next matchup. That 5 or so minutes before you do your entrance, like that feeling you get in your stomach, it can either make or break you. You know what I mean? And I live for that. That feeling of like, right, I'm really about to go and do this. I live for it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I do get anxious, and like stuff like, did you say scrutiny at the end?
Like social media scrutiny, yeah.
It doesn't bother me in the
Mhm.
slightest. Like I'm quite thick skinned. I've dealt with worse in life than a few comments. And to be honest, I've never really faced like social media scrutiny. I'm quite fortunate like that. Um, but yeah, like I say, it wouldn't necessarily bother me, to be honest.
Sound, bud, sound. So, was there any particular moments or periods in your career so far where your mental health struggles felt particularly overwhelming at all?
Yeah, definitely. Like recently, I got laid off from my job, and it was like I had to move house, and there's a whole load of situations going on at the same time, and it just got to the point where I was like, why am I even bothering? You know what I mean? Why do I even try? But then you have that sort of moment, like again when I said it, I like to reevaluate what I've done with my life, and I remind myself that's why you keep trying. There's been like a fair few, like I said, like I was very close with my mum. And my mum passed away in 2021, and she would always be at every wrestling show. If she wasn't there, she'd be the first person I rang. So that always played a part. It took me like I never stopped wrestling as well. When she passed, she passed on the Monday. I had a show by the Friday. Um, so I'd never really like what's the word? I'd never stopped, if that makes sense, to get my head straight. So then it kind of just hit me at once, and I was like,
Mhm.
oh shit. So that was like a massive challenge. But you just gotta, if you, I keep telling myself, if you stand still, you'll get stuck. Do
Mhm.
you know what I mean? So in them moments where you're really doubting yourself and you're really like, oh shit, if you stand still, you're just gonna get stuck. No matter what, you just gotta keep pushing forward.
Definitely, mate. So, what coping mechanisms or strategies have you found most effective with managing your mental health and, in particular, your ADHD?
Music.
Mhm.
I love music, all kinds of music. Like people sit at home and watch TV. Like I can't because of ADHD. I can't. I just can't concentrate. Wrestling's the only thing I can like fully sit and watch. So I just listen to music. Like I'll just sit in bed or I'll sit downstairs, and I'll just listen to music. And if I've had like a really bad day and I can notice myself being like getting agitated and whatnot, I'll just put music on and I'll sit there. And I wouldn't necessarily say like I meditate, but I will like get deep in thought and just be like, right. how can we sort whatever is going on?
So, mate, so can you give me like a top five artists, bands, or songs that you'd listen to if you're
Ooh. Yeah, my favourite song of all time is the Elvis Presley song, and it's "If I Can Dream," just because, like, you know, if you can dream, you can do it. Like, it might sound stupid to some, but if you're really passionate about it, it won't be stupid to you. Um, what else? Black by Pearl Jam. It's a really sentimental song. I'll listen to that quite often. That just really like just makes things hit home where you kind of like, okay, it humbles me in a sense of like, things will be okay. Um, Trying to think what else, but like I listen to quite a lot of heavy music to be
Mhm.
honest, just because it's so like fast paced and so like always going. It like that's helps my ADHD as well because it's like so much happening at once. It kind of just like covers all bases.
Samba sound? So, what kind of support system do you rely on both within and outside of wrestling?
My family and my friends, to be honest. I'm not against going to therapy, and I do think it works, but I'm a big believer in like I should be able to make myself feel okay. Like, as I know some people might struggle with that, and I completely get it. That's just the way I've always been taught, and I've always been like, I'm in this world for myself. You know what I mean? So I'll reach out to the people that are closer to me. Like my big sister is an absolute angel. No matter what, I could ring her at 2 o'clock in the morning, and she'd be like, "How can I help?" So I'm like a massive believer in like just reach out. I know it's hard, but your real friends will listen through the tears. They'll if they need to, they'll come to your house, kind of thing. Like I'm a massive believer in like close friends and family.
Definitely, mate. So, what message would you give to other wrestlers or anyone that's watching who might be struggling with their mental health in silence?
Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid to share what's going on. Like I post stuff all the time, and it helps me try just sharing bits and bobs of what's going on, because there's an old analogy, and it's shaking a bottle of Coke. If you keep shaking it and shaking it and shaking it, it's going to explode. But if you open it and just let a bit out, you can keep shaking it, let a bit out, and keep shaking it and just let a bit out. It's not going to explode. So I'm a big believer in small steps first. Small steps lead to big strides. So if you can just reach out to a friend, you don't have to communicate all day, every day. But if you can reach out to a friend, or even then your friends reach out to you, like check in on your friends. You know what I mean? It's so hard, especially in this day and age, to actually reach out. Send your friend that message, check in on them. If I think it was Tony Wright said on Facebook like a little while ago, he's like, we can't help everybody, but someone can help anybody. It was
Mhm.
something along those lines, and that is genuinely what I would say. Don't be afraid to help someone as well. Put a smile on someone's face, and it'll put a smile back on yours.
Definitely sound advice, that, mate. I have to say. So, how do you believe that the professional wrestling industry as a whole could better support its performers' mental well-being?
What was that? Say that again. Sorry.
How do you believe the professional wrestling industry as a whole can better support its performers' mental well-being?
Drop your egos. you know we're all in it for the same reasons. We're all in it because we love it, and it's definitely a better place to be now than it was. You know what I mean? But there's still a lot of people that are like they're afraid to speak up because people are going to overlook them or whatever. Like, don't be afraid. Do you know what I mean? Like, people need to drop their egos. We're all human at the end of the day.
Definitely, mate. Completely understand where you're going, what you're saying with that one, mate. So, are there any specific strategies or tools or habits that, obviously beyond medication, that are most instrumental in helping you manage like your ADHD? And how do you discover these?
Sorry, could you repeat that again? My phone keeps breaking up.
Sorry about that, mate.
No, it's all good.
So,
I think it's the signal on my end.
what are two or three specific actionable strategies, tools, or habits beyond medication that have been most instrumental in helping you manage your ADHD?
Exercise, definitely. Going to the gym. Taking time for yourself, 100%. I like to write down what I've done in my day, just keep a little diary. Stuff like that really helps. I would definitely say exercise is the bigger one. And I've been doing a lot of work with Ricky Halfpenny and his training. So, like, getting you better habits, better eating, I think is massive. It's massive.
So, mate, thank you so much. So, what advice? So, obviously, as we know, wrestling fans have this already preconceived notion that wrestlers are larger than life. They're a bit superhuman, sort of thing. What advice would you offer to fans who want to support wrestlers who are open about their mental health struggles?
Communicate with them, speak to them. You know, I've always think conversation's such a good tool to have. And I always feel, like I said before, we're all in it together. You know, communicate. There's no harm in speaking to him, just saying, I know you're quite open about your mental health, and I respect it. I appreciate it. Have that conversation because you'll probably make both. You both come out of the conversation in a better mood.
Definitely, mate. So, what role has wrestling played in your overall mental health journey? Has it been a source of strength? Has it been a challenge, or has it been a bit of both?
I'd say it's been a challenge in the sense of like, you're there at shows all day and you're not getting paid to be there all day. The late night, the long drives home, the early mornings, the early starts. It's definitely a challenge, but if you love it and you're not passionate about it, also is a reward. Like some of the car journeys I've been on have been better than the shows. Not like the shows were bad, but you create so many memories on like the road trips and stuff like that.
Definitely, mate. So, can you describe your mental health state in the hours leading up to a big match? Like, what's going on in your head, and how do you manage the anxiety and anticipation without letting your mind wander?
I just remind myself how much I love it and why I
Mhm.
started doing it and where I was before I was doing it. You know what I mean? And then I just kind of feel like I belong here. I try to get that into my head, like I do belong here. I should be here. I've worked so hard to be here. It's not like I've cut corners or anything like that. Like I've done everything by the book. I belong here. And for like my mental health's quite erratic. You know what I mean? It's up and down daily. Some day, like I've had a really good day today, but tomorrow I could have like a really really bad day. It's hard to judge. It doesn't matter if I'm wrestling at the end of the week or not. If I'm wrestling, it's better because, like I said, it's something to look forward to. But my mental health's quite erratic. But
Mhm.
that's the way I see it is it's part of life. If you don't have bad days, then the good days would just be days. You know what I mean?
Definitely, mate. So, as we know, wrestling obviously it's a sport of extreme highs and lows. How do
Yeah,
you
man.
process a tough loss, especially when your mind might be racing with what ifs? How do you bounce back from setbacks like that?
I just tell myself like we go again. Bad day at the office, kind of thing. Especially if I feel like I've had a bad performance. But I also feel like every time I have it, if I've had a bad performance, I've always learned the most from that. So like, I try and like I'll go back home and I'll be like, I'll try and pick out bits that I could have done better and how come it went like this, if that makes sense.
Definitely, mate. So, do you ever see your ADHD as a sort of superpower in the ring?
I honestly like I'm that in the zone when I'm wrestling. I don't even like think about it, if that makes
Mhm,
sense. I definitely say it helps creativity wise because
mhm.
like my mind just runs at a million miles an hour, especially when I'm like thinking about wrestling and promos and stuff like that. So you know what? Actually, yeah, I would say it's kind of like a superpower because the way my brain works is I just think of like a million different things all at the same time, which helps creative wise.
Definitely, mate. So, do you ever feel an added pressure to control your ADHD in a sport where discipline is so highly valued at all?
No, because I love it that much. Like I understand the discipline and I understand what you have to do, so I can kind of harness that and be like, it's sometimes it is hard to focus when I'm saying like I'm training and stuff like that. Towards like the back end of the sessions, I do find it hard to focus, but I kind of just gotta give myself a little slap around the face and be like, right, come on, focus. You know, it's go time.
Definitely, mate. So as we start to wind down with the questions, bud, how do you balance the need to portray a strong character in the ring with the reality of your personal mental health journey?
Well, could you say that again? Sorry.
How do you balance the need to portray a strong character in the ring with the reality of your personal mental health journey?
I think it's quite important to because if I could make one person in the crowd relate to me and be like this, you know, I like this guy's message, you know, like I want to say inspire people, but yeah, it like inspire people essentially. I think it's quite important, and I like to wear my heart on my sleeve and stuff like that because, like I said, wrestling's changed my life in such a positive way that I want to tell that story when I wrestle, and even if I'm a bad guy, I can be like, you know, I've got kids I've got people that I need to feed, so I have to win this way because I can't guarantee that I lose. And I really think that's why I've got such like a better connection now with fans, and they understand the gimmick. So I do think it's quite important for myself anyway to portray that side of the stronger character.
Definitely, bud. So, what are your aspirations and goals within professional wrestling for the future?
You know, I just want to create a legacy at this point. It might sound stupid to some, but like I said, I don't really care what they think. I want my niece and nephew to grow up and be like, you know, Uncle Jack was really cool. You know what I mean? Like my uncle was a wrestler, like a really successful wrestler. When I was a kid, the only like role model I had was a drug abuser that used to rob the shop. You know what I mean? I'd look up and be like, wow, that's pretty cool. He gets whatever he wants from the shop. So I want that alternative. Like I want my little 6-year-old nephew to grow up and be like, yeah, I want to do something like Uncle Jack. I want to be a footballer. You know what I mean? I want to create that image. That's the main goal.
Definitely, mate. So, coming on to the last question, bud. We'd like to end the podcast on a lighter note. Obviously, it can get quite a bit deep, the channel. So,
Yeah, brother.
who is your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers?
Ooh, Stone Cold. This will probably change tomorrow because I'll think of someone else. But I'm gonna go today. Stone Cold. John Cena. The Rock. And Shawn Michaels.
Fair enough, mate. I don't think you can come away many better Mount Rushmores than that.
I think
So,
they're
in
the best
essence,
out there.
guys, yeah, definitely, mate. So, in essence, guys, that is it for today's episode. It's been an absolute honour having you on, Jack. I
No,
really do
thank you for
appreciate
having
it,
me.
mate.
I do appreciate it. Thank you.
No worries, mate. It's my entire pleasure. It's my pleasure. So, if there's anything you want to say, mate, to end the podcast whatsoever, if you want to plug anything, the floor's yours.
Don't be afraid to speak out. You know, just it might seem stupid and it might seem impossible to get them words out your mouth, but trust me, people do care. You know what I mean? People really do care. They might not be able to show it because they have their own struggles, but trust me, people care.
Definitely, mate. It's very sound stuff. So, if you want to go check out Jack on his social medias, Jack has Instagram, Jack Johnson Pro. Do you have any other socials at the minute,
Yeah,
mate?
I'm on Twitter, I'm on TikTok. It's pretty much all just Jack Johnson Pro. So I don't forget it. Just make it easy.
So, mate, thank you so much for joining me today, Jack. Make sure
No,
that you
thank you
check
for
him out,
having me. I
guys.
really appreciate it.
It's been my absolute pleasure, mate. Until next time, guys, make sure you look after yourselves. This has been Wrestle Wellbeing. I've been
Definitely.
your host, Jim. Take care and look after yourself.